A rocket rose about 40 feet in the air and it stays up for 2.5 seconds, and then it lands in a cabbage field. And most people watching would have called this a failure because that's kind of what it looked like. On this day, March 16th, 1926, the man who launches that rocket is Robert Goddard, a quiet physics professor working in Massachusetts. And rockets already existed at the time because for centuries people had used gunpowder rockets in war. In fact, the War of 1812 used these types of rockets. But they were all basically like large fireworks. Once they got ignited, they burned until they burned out, and there was very little control over where they went. But Goddard believed that rockets could be something different. Instead of gunpowder, in his experiment, he built one powered by liquid oxygen and gasoline. And when the rocket ignited during his experiment, it sputtered upward for just a moment, and it was not much more than a kid in modern times building a Sprite bottle rocket with baking soda would have done. But the breakthrough wasn't how high it flew, it was how it flew. Liquid-fueled rockets are far more powerful and more controllable, and nearly every rocket that has ever carried satellites or astronauts or probes into space can trace its lineage back to this experiment. And on top of all this, there were misunderstandings at the time. Many people believed that rockets could never work in space. And even the New York Times mocked Goddard in 1920, arguing that rockets would have nothing to push against in the vacuum of space. But as I've learned from researching the story, because I'm a physics idiot, rockets don't push against air, they push against their own exhaust. And when that hot gas blasts out the back, the rocket moves forward. In fact, rockets work even better in a vacuum. So this sad little rocket test showed a lot of potential for engines capable of leaving the Earth. History likes to remember the giant rockets, the roaring launches, the big spectacles, the moon landings. But what I love about this story is it's kind of a humble turning point. It's a shy professor, a small rocket, and 2.5 seconds in the air. And it reminds me that sometimes the future begins with something that barely leaves the ground.